If you're stuck at the intermediate level of English, it's because you have intermediate level habits, which lead to intermediate level results. If you want to escape the intermediate plateau, you will need to take a different approach to learning English than you did when you were a beginner. In this video, I'll show you where you're probably messing up and specifically what to do to fix it. If you're new, welcome to ARC English. We help people go from intermediate to advanced English much faster by working smarter and not harder. Now, the first mistake that I'm willing to bet you're definitely making is translating in your head. This is not just an extremely common mistake when it comes to learning English, but this is an extremely common mistake when it comes to language learning in general. Translating in your head is normal and it's necessary when you're at the beginner levels of English, trying to get to the intermediate levels. But this is absolutely not okay if you want to get to the advanced level, being the C1 level. The way to fix this mistake is simply by using visualization. And visualization is a method that has been proven to work since the beginning of time, really. And it's actually how native English speakers learn English from birth. Visualization is what it sounds like. You're essentially going to try to associate words with imagery and expressions with experiences. You absolutely will need to do this if you want to stop translating in your head. And you will need to stop translating in your head if you ever want to get to the advanced level of English, being C1. Now, I understand that translating in your head is a difficult habit to overcome, and I was definitely guilty of making this mistake too when I was at the intermediate level of French, when I had to learn French. However, it is absolutely necessary if you ever want to be able to spontaneously articulate yourself and spontaneously and effortlessly communicate with other English speakers. And the next mistake that you're likely making is hesitating and reaching for words. Now, usually the reason why this mistake keeps happening to intermediate learners is because you're trying too hard to sound perfect or use perfect grammar. Now, personally, I do believe that grammar is really, really important when it comes to your overall speaking and articulation skills. However, you don't need to obsess over it or fixate too much on having perfect grammar. Quite frankly, if you understand the main differences between your language and the English language, you generally understand how the English figure of speech works. You understand the basics and you know how to apply basic grammar really well, then that's all you really need to know in order to be a well-spoken English speaker. Advanced grammar can help, but it won't help you as much or it won't feel as noticeable as learning grammar from the beginner levels up to the intermediate levels. But I do need to say that I would never neglect grammar because that could really just be the difference between speaking English that is broken English versus speaking English that is considered to be well spoken. Now, to fix the problem of hesitating and reaching for words because you're trying too hard to speak with perfect grammar, the solution would just be finding alternative ways to express the same thing that you're trying and failing to express. Now, you need to keep in mind that there are countless different ways to say pretty much anything in the English language. There are so many different ways. So, for example, if you didn't know how to describe what I'm doing right now, there are many different ways to say it. I'm speaking into the microphone. I'm articulating myself into the microphone. I'm conversing with the person on the other end of the camera through the microphone. I am exerting audio through the microphone. There are countless different ways to just say the same thing in English when it comes to almost any sentence that you can think of. So instead of hesitating and completely pausing and breaking down in conversation, trying to reach and think of the right word to use in that right situation, just try to find another way to say the same thing with the vocabulary that you're more comfortable with in that moment. For example, if I didn't know what a microphone was, I would just say the thing that I speak into for videos. Or if I didn't know what this was called, a phone, I would say the thing that I use to make calls, text, and go on social media. If I didn't know what a water bottle was called, I would say the item that I use to drink out of. There are a million alternative ways to describe or express what you're trying to express. And this leads to the third mistake that you're probably making, which is using material that does not really match your current level of English. You must understand that doing really any exercise or any drill at the intermediate level of English will be very ineffective, inefficient, and won't improve your English if it's way too easy for you or way too hard for you. So if you can only understand 50% or maybe even less than 50% of all the words that I'm saying in this video, then this video is too difficult for your current level of English listening. If you can understand 100% of everything that I'm saying in this video effortlessly, then this level of English video for you is probably too easy. If you can understand most of what I'm saying, around 80% of what I'm saying, and then maybe around 20% of the things I'm saying, you might have to replay, use subtitles, or aren't as comfortable with, then that means that, or this video is at your current level of English. And the way to fix this mistake of using material that's too easy or too hard for you is just by using media that has comprehensible input, which really comes down to the 80-20 principle. And like I just mentioned, the 80-20 principle simply suggests you should be able to understand around 80% of what's being said in the media you're using to practice with. And then you can try to guess or make an educated guess on what the other 20% means, just based around the context that surrounds it. And using comprehensible input and using the 80-20 principle are just two methods of many methods that have been proven to work to actually increase your level of English, especially from intermediate to advanced. So I won't talk about all of those methods in this video, but if you want to check it out, we talk about it in our intermediate to advanced course. So you can watch the first module actually for free. I'll leave the link somewhere in the description or the pinned comment below. And then finally, the fourth mistake that you're likely making is that you are working very hard, but you aren't necessarily working very smart. This is super common with intermediate English learners, especially because a lot of you guys got to the intermediate level of English from the beginner levels simply by working really hard at a lot of very basic drills. But when it comes to going from intermediate to advanced, everything changes and quality is so much more important than quantity at the intermediate level when you're trying to get to the C1 level. The truth is, you need to work both hard and smart if you want to get good results. And a good way to do this is by using short form content to practice your English skills and giving it your undivided attention so your study sessions are of a higher quality. This can be a much more efficient and smarter way to improve your English, especially when it comes to listening and speaking with the shadowing technique, as it's much easier to give short form content your undivided attention as opposed to a long 1 hour interview or something like that. So to recap, the 4 mistakes you're most likely making with your approach to going from intermediate to advanced. The first one is translating in your head. And to solve this problem, you need to use visualization. The next mistake was hesitating and reaching for words. In order to fix this mistake, you need to give alternative explanations to things. The next mistake is using material that does not match your current level of English. To fix this, you need to use comprehensible inputs, which applies the 80-20 principle. And then the fourth mistake is you work really hard, but you're not really working that smart or efficiently. And a very easy way to work more efficiently is simply just by using short form content to practice your listening and your speaking skills if you use the shadowing technique. More specifically, a daily drill that you can use that's very easy is you just find a short form piece of media. It could be on YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikTok, whatever it is. You consume the short form piece of media, you listen to it once, you play it back again and try shadowing it, meaning you just repeat what the other person is saying after they say it. And then you simply express your opinion about it. You can express your opinion in a written format. You can type it out on the notes application on your phone. Then you can record yourself speaking and reading your written answer aloud. Then you can play the recording back of yourself and you can just pay attention to the areas that you need to improve on. I just oversimplified it, but that's a very easy drill that you can do with literally 5 minutes every day if you're just using short form content. Or you can do it for 1 or 2 hours a day if you have the time. But that one drill alone is enough to actually make improvements and see results. Now, if you got any value at all from this video, be sure to let me know simply by liking the video. And if you're currently at the intermediate level of English and you're trying to get to the advanced level of English, be sure to subscribe to this channel as I'm going to show you the most effective ways to achieve that. And if you want to learn how to use the shadowing technique properly in more detail, be sure to watch the next video on the screen.